Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with another video. This time, this is not going to be a technical video, so for all my technical people you may be upset with, not a technical video, but this is for, this may be technical if you are into concepts or design concepts, and this is really pertaining to, the small business owner, people that's probably under 100 employees, stuff like that, or the enterprise, director of IT manager, stuff like that, because I have the same conversation no matter what, whether it's a small person, small office, small outfit, or, enterprise, multinational kind of situation. It's the same thing. So, what are we talking about here? We're talking about the elephant in the room, wireless, wireless networking. And all the conversations I have with people that talk about wireless and they say, oh, the wireless is bad, the first thing they start to do is actually blame the equipment. Oh, we have sucky APs. Oh, they don't got the right antennas, all this nonsense. When in reality, I can pretty much sum it up with this one question. When is the last time you actually did a site survey? And a matter of fact, when did you ever do a site survey? You'd be surprised in real world scenarios, a lot of companies, they don't do Wi-Fi surveys, which makes zero sense. How do you know if wireless was, the placement of your APs were done correctly if you didn't have a Wi-Fi survey? Now they have certain type of Wi-Fi surveys. They have a passive, they have an active, they have a predictive survey. Now, the predictive survey, obviously, that's what it is. It's going to predict what Wi-Fi coverage is going to be, signal strength is going to be based by, placement of APs in like a tool like Ekahau or something like that. Then you have your passive surveys, which is just, seeing what your current environment is and stuff like that. And active does the same thing as well, but they kind of behave differently because one is actually actively interacting with the APs. One is just, as the name implies, passively surveying the environment. Now, the problem with most small business owners, most, IT managers, directors, they kind of get a new site. And I see this happening a lot when they get like a new building. They just start tossing APs all over the place. And then when it doesn't work, they're like, well, throw more APs at it. And I'm going to tell you right now, sometimes throwing more APs is not the solution to the problem. You're actually making more problems. So there's a couple things that you need to do. One, site survey. Always do a site survey and always refresh your site survey, once every year. Just like network assessments and stuff like that, or security assessments. Once a year, you should get a new site survey, because if things change, that may change the overall, coverage in your environment. And in a year's time span, things can actually mess up wireless because you made certain changes to the building or something like that, or just changes to the environment, more people come on so it can't handle it, stuff like that. That's number one, site survey. Next, start looking at these configurations. Did you just slap the AP up there and just let it auto config and then you just walked away? That is probably 90% of the problem that I see talking to people. They just throw some APs in there. They think, oh, we're just going to do auto adjust and everything's going to be okay. No, don't do that. Actually, kind of fine tune, or get somebody that knows about wireless signaling and how to, fine tune things to make sure the coverage is correct. You don't have an AP that's, down the hall locking onto a user's machine that's down the hall when they got an AP sitting right in front of them. Like, that shouldn't be happening. It should be releasing when it's roaming and stuff like that. So configurations, like band steering, you got 2.5 gigahertz still out there because of older machines. Got to be careful with, you got to do channel optimization, especially with 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. You need to do some channel optimizations as well. Also, with the Wi-Fi survey, that's going to help you a lot, because you may be sitting in like a cage that Wi-Fi signal doesn't work there. But if you never did the survey and you just slapped an AP on the outside of that cage, well, usually this is the C-suite people. If the C-suite is sitting in that cage and they're trying to get to that AP that's outside the cage, and they're like, "Man, my Wi-Fi signal was crap." Well, yeah, because you're surrounded in a basically a microwave that's blocking all kind of Wi-Fi signal and stuff like that. So that's where your survey comes in. The second one is power requirements, and this is going to tie into the next one too. Power requirements. if you are using a switch that can't give the AP adequate power, well, it's not going to turn on all the necessary antennas that can probably boost your Wi-Fi performance. So that's the next thing. Look at the switches you're getting, right? If you're still dealing with PoE switches, no, no, no. You got to move the UPoE, because UPoE is going to give you enough power to give you all the radios and all the capacities on your APs. Obviously, you need to have APs that are capable of doing that stuff, but you need to have adequate power to turn on all those features, because the AP will actually just turn off radios if it can't get enough power. And then last but not least, if you are someone that's trying to take advantage of M-Gig technology, meaning depending on the cable you plug in, you can get all the way up to 10 gigabytes or 10 gigs. I don't know why I said gigabytes like that. That was weird. But 10 gigs of data rate, right? Throughput, stuff like that. If you put the depending on the cable you put in, right? You put Cat 5e, you get a certain rate. You get Cat 6, you get another rate, right? But you need M-Gig switches to take care of that capability, or to give that capability uh, in your environment. I see a lot of people buying M-Gig APs with gig port switches, which makes obviously no sense, because if your AP can push all the way up to 2.5, but you're plugging it into a gig switch, well, you're never going to get 2.5. This is not going to happen. So this is where um, design and building your switch infrastructure to support your APs and your wireless infrastructure is going to come into play. So here, those are some of the things that I see when I talk to people about wireless, and they talk about the wireless is bad. Those are kind of the things and conversations that I usually have with those type of scenarios. Now, like I said before, survey is probably the number one culprit, right? If you've never done a survey, or you have an old survey that you did 5 years ago and things have changed, you probably are like just you're dealing with a network, or you have your Wi-Fi network set up in the past, basically when it was working when you had those circumstances. Now that you have evolved, expanded something else, probably did a new addition to a warehouse or something like that, that Wi-Fi is not going to work anymore. So you definitely need to do a survey to make sure you have adequate coverage, right? And then the other ones is, there's configurations is obviously important, but also the physical switch infrastructure. Do the switches give you the capability to maximize all the capabilities of your APs? So this is Don from Padlock Technologies again. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you like stuff like this and you like to see some cool lab and stuff, don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe to the video. My channel is growing. I'm getting a lot of videos, a lot of comments, which I appreciate a lot. So just keep bringing people in. You're going to see some more cool stuff. I got something on the way. I'm not going to tell you just yet, but I got something on the way. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Thank you, and have a nice day.